I'll start again.
Yeah, there it's
So,
Yeah, there it is.
oh, there we go. Live. All right, we're live. So, all right. Hi, welcome everybody. I am Brian Erickson. This is our third in our web series. If you missed the first two, the first one was really good. We had Adam Gaudet, Brady Gaudet, Cam Gaudet, me asking questions to them. The second one was very good as well. We had Justin Jalen and Dylan Schuett. We had a lot of brain power on that one. And then now we welcome Tyler Cooper, current general, up in the top right down in Florida. And then we welcome past general standout Louis Boudon down below. He's home in France. And welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
All right. So we had a bunch of people ask questions online, and my job is to moderate it and add a little bit of nonsense, as I usually do. So ultimately, first off, both of you guys, first question comes from Liam McCanny. We both know Liam. He wants to know who was the better number 15 for the Northeast Generals.
That's up to you. Man.
I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of up to you. I don't think I can live up to what Louis did last season.
No, Louis gross. You stink, Cooper. So that was an easy one. Number 15 is Louis Boudon, and Cooper has got big shoes to fill. But it was actually, it's funny when we think about from a equipment, thing, we actually think about putting guys in the numbers. Like it's an important part sometimes because, you don't want a guy that potentially isn't going to be there wearing a number that we consider to be pretty like legendary, like 6, 15. Like there are some numbers that just mean a lot more in General's history, simply because of like number 7 was Perunovic and Mike Higgins. It's a good number, right? So we always try to make sure we're picking guys that because the number means something. And I know it means something to Louis, like he loves that number, and it means something to Cooper.
15.
So ultimately, yeah.
I wanted 11 when I showed up.
You were assigned it, but you made it into a good number. You know what I mean? Number 11 was already Brady Gaudet, and that's the way it works. And so ultimately that was McCanny. McCanny asked another question too, and he wanted to know that, or he didn't. He just said he's kind of upset he hasn't been asked to be on yet, like on live. And my answer is I don't think anyone could understand him. His bumbling hillbilly accent. I think he would not be right. Not be a good guest, Louis. Right? Like who would understand him? Nobody. He just like takes off his clothes and like runs into the woods when we get down to Pennsylvania. Like kids, he's a hillbilly. So a couple more questions. So this is actually a great question from. Let me get it. It's from Facebook, so it's in a different spot. So Josh Eldridge, who does a lot of coverage of hockey for different websites and stuff, and he's a big France guy. So he wanted to know, it's for both of you. So how do you see the future? You both played in the World Juniors, right? You both represented your countries. I think you're both captains, at some point. How do you guys see the future of hockey? So first, how do you see the future of hockey in France? I'll go to you first, Louis. Like, how is it like youth hockey coming up? Is it getting better? Is it getting stronger?
I think it's getting a little worse because most of the guys are leaving to go play in other countries like Sweden, Switzerland a lot, and the States too. And for the professionals, they just lost last year, so now in second division, and usually it takes a while to go back up to the top division. So I don't know, but it's not looking too bright. I don't think so.
So are the players good, or they're good and then they're leaving, or are they not producing good players? You know what I mean? Because there's sometimes both, right?
They select to the national team that most of them play in another country. None of them play. I mean, there's probably like 5 or 6 that plays in France. So
most of them France is still producing good players, but they're not doing a good job of keeping them in France.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay. No, I understand that. And then, we still have a Frenchman, down on the NA3 team. We have Jeffrey Sidois. And then Cooper, how about you? How about Great Britain? I know that you live in the United States, but you obviously were captain of the 18s last year, or whatever. Was it the 18s or the 20s?
20s.
I don't know. The 20s. Yeah, you were captain of the 20s last year. So how's the talent? Is it improving? What's the state of hockey in Great Britain?
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's definitely improving. Like Louis said, there's a lot of guys that have kind of like grown up, and then when they turn to about 14, 15, they go over to. A lot of them go to the States. Some go to Switzerland. But that has almost been like a good thing in a way because, for example, Liam Kirk, he left and he plays in the OHL right now, and he was the first ever British guy to be drafted and born and raised in England. So he's kind of like paved the way for a lot of young guys in England who now are starting to play hockey, which is definitely good. And then the team that I was on, the World Junior team that I was on this past Christmas break, I would say it was probably split up half and half, with half guys playing in the States or Canada, and then the other guys all play. They're all staying home and playing pro over in England. So the pro league is definitely getting better, and then because of that, there's more youth starting to play hockey, which is good to see.
Yeah, and that's for us, from a scouting standpoint, we don't necessarily care, where they're born, right? We care, what type of player they are, and there's not a lot of leagues in France that we scout from. There's not a lot of leagues in Great Britain that we scout from. It's just the way it is. But there's a lot of good social media traction that started to happen, where there are people that are dedicated to French hockey, prospects, and there are a lot of people that are dedicated to. I think it's like Caitlin Berry for British hockey. That she does a lot of tweeting of different things, and it's good for us because obviously that's like we might see a play of a French player or a great English player where I'm like, oh, he's interesting. Let me go watch some film of him now, right? So I think social media is helping, but obviously it's not necessarily helping keep the kids in France or in Great Britain, but it's helping them get scouted by the world, and that's a big piece for us. Similar to the way. Like Kohei Sato wasn't, he was the first Japanese player to, get a goal in the NCAA. And now we get contacted by a lot of Japanese players that are very good because he played here, and that helps. So, all right, good answers. Good question, Josh. All right, there's a question for Cooper from someone, Marcus_Mitch. I don't know who that is. Do you know who that is, Tyler?
British buddy.
All right. He wants to know when you're going to start putting up some numbers.
When I'm going to start putting up some numbers?
Yeah. I
can't tell if that's a question for the weight room or if it's for the ice, because he's like a gym fanatic. So, I mean, I've been trying to chase him in the weight room for a couple of years now, but I just can't seem to get to him.
Okay. But, I think he's
I played with him.
Where does he play?
He plays in England, the Tier 2 professional league over there.
Okay. Is that the EIHL or the something like that?
NIHL, yeah.
The NIHL. All right. And then Louis, I can't tell you who this one's from, but it says, who is your favorite Slovakian?
My favorite Slovakian? That's a tough question.
I'm not going to tell you who.
Mucha.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Mucha. Miroslav Mucha. Stay with me.
Oh, okay. So Marco's going to be upset that you didn't choose him because he was the one that asked the question.
For him, so I just picked the third one. I didn't want.
All right, so Marco, sorry, you're out of luck. That's bad. All right, I got asked one of the questions. Who's my favorite out of these two? 100% Louis. So sorry, Cooper. I have to answer honestly. People ask questions, I got to answer. Tyler asked, just so you know, Louis, the dumbest questions ever. Like he's literally like a meeting ruiner. Like the meeting ends when Cooper opens up his mouth.
Is that guy?
Fair? Yeah, he's that guy. And he doesn't mean to.
I would agree with that happening maybe twice. Like
one time, Louis, I'll give you for example. I'm at the board and we're talking about F3, and I'm like, all right, F3 is driving through, and I kept driving, like drawing it, and kept talking about it. I kept saying F3. He's driving through, he's pushing through here, and then finally I'm like, all right, any questions? And Cooper like raises his hand, and I'm like, yeah, what's up, Cooper? He's like, all right, so like, what does F3 do? And like everybody in the locker room's like, what the, like, were you paying attention? He just talked about F3 for like 20 minutes. So Cooper's pretty smart. All right, so we got some more questions that are for both of you. Let's see. Here we go. This one's actually for Louis specifically. Sorry. For Louis, besides hockey, what's your favorite thing in the world? I can't tell you who it's from.
I think I know what that's from, but
yes, you better choose wisely.
What's my favorite thing in the world, huh? Good questions. I don't know. It might. Yeah, I'm gonna say just hanging out with the girlfriend probably, because I don't see her a lot.
Dude, there you go. Thank you. That was from Katie, so she would have been pissed if you didn't say that. So that's good. Cooper, this one's for you from Clark Kerner. Are you scared of the dark?
Yeah, I'm terrified of the dark.
Who's got birds?
It's to the point where like if I'm in my room and I need to like go down and get a drink of water, like every single light is being turned on in the house.
Nothing wrong. I'm afraid of the dark too. I'm not a fan. All right. So a couple things. So you guys both, this one's for both of you. You guys both had great billet situations when you're here. So Louis, you had Rebecca, the O'Dowd family.
Yeah.
And Cooper, you had Lori, last year, and it turned out to be a really good fit. What's part of, obviously Rebecca O'Dowd and Laurie, they do an unbelievable job of opening their family and opening their homes. But, what kind of makes a great billet? Because it's an important question, because a lot of people ask, about the billet situation. They get nervous about it coming here. So what makes a great billet? You talk first, Cooper.
I mean, something that Laurie did really well for me was just adapting with my schedule. So, because I would get done with practice at it was 2:30 that we get off the ice, and then I'd go straight to work from there and work until 10 o'clock at night. So she did a really good job at just like always providing food for when I'm home, whether it's just a leftover dinner or if she's like making something when I'm walking through the door. It's honestly a great help having that. And then, I mean, she's super supportive with the game. Like, I think she went to every home game too. So, I mean, it's super nice having somebody like that.
Okay. How about you, Louis?
Well, I think the old outs are really involved with the gents. That was like really nice because we could always talk about like hockey and all that. And I think it was the first billet that was really like that close, because I could talk about everything to Rebecca. She was really close to us and just with a lot of freedom too. I think it's kind of important, because I heard a bunch of guys that played in different teams. I had to be home at like 8 at night or something like that. So that was really nice to just have freedom and just be comfortable around them all the time.
Yeah, and obviously you had Fishy and you had Rebecca and you had the kids, which obviously is different than what Cooper's experience was, where you had, two young kids that look up to you and love you. They come to games, and they support you. And that's awesome. And, for Cooper was in a tough situation where Laurie's husband passed away in the middle of the season, very suddenly and unexpectedly. And, I know that was tough to deal with, but, and it's important that, people understand, like, there's real life stuff happening, where Jake has, suffers from diabetes at, at the O'Dowd house, and there are real life situations that happen. And Cooper had to deal with, helping support Laurie, and it turned into a good comfort for her to have Tyler around. Right. So you guys become like legitimate members of the family, and you're there for the good stuff and you're there for the bad stuff, and I think that's really important. And you see it on like Facebook. Laurie's a big Facebook person. She's super proud of any time Cooper or Nick or Carson get an award. Everybody won an award from our end of the season awards, and Louis has an award named after him, and Rebecca and Fishy were super proud of you and what you guys have meant to the organization so far. So that's pretty cool. The billet the relationship is really nice, and I think that the Generals have some really cool families that do a good job of opening out their homes. And one thing that we try to tell people is they have to live by your rules, but we don't want it to be in bed or in the house by 8 o'clock. Meaning as long as there's communication between you guys and the family, that's the only thing that really matters. Like, they need to know where you are because they're responsible for you. But there is a freedom to playing junior hockey that you want to experience, like hanging out with the boys and meeting girls and doing all that stuff. I don't think Cooper likes girls, but for Louis, it was important. Is that correct?
Yeah, I found the one. So,
so there's a question, Louis. There's a picture that it looked like Katie was wearing a ring.
Oh, it was a while ago.
Yeah, was she wearing a ring, or is that just a picture? She's
just a big ring person. I don't really know why. Okay. She's just obsessed with rings. So yeah, I got
nothing to announce.
Said that I was getting engaged. It was like 2 months in the relationship. I was like, no, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, you're French. You guys deal with things different. Like English people.
Sounds like Asper.
Yeah, Carson. Yeah, he's getting engaged. Probably Carson's cutting his hair, Louis.
Is it really?
Yeah, I told him he can't play on my team next year if he doesn't cut his hair because he's coming up to the NA team.
You can put it on now.
Yeah, I can't have that. All right, so Fishy wants to know who's the best cards player on this past year's team, Cooper.
Who's the best card player?
Yeah, who was the best card player in this past year's team?
I mean, Fishy wants me to say him just because he won every single game of AC Doocy that we played the whole trip in Alaska. But I don't know. Chuck is good at times. He has his on moments, and then when his off moments are on, he's really bad. But you're pretty good too. I mean, you got some skills at the poker table.
Yeah, but I don't, need to brag about it like Fishy, right? So, whatever. And then Fishy also asked Louis, what was your favorite meal at his house?
It was a calzone.
A calzone. Okay. I don't know if that's right. He's just, Fishy's got these. So people that are watching, Jason O'Dowd, he is a billet parent, but he also works with the organization. He orders a lot of our equipment and stuff and helps support Howard. Works with me through our vendors, through Bauer and through K1. He's also just the best. And he travels with us occasionally, came to Alaska both times that we went to Alaska. And just a fun guy to be around. Great family. His brother, Richard, is one of the owners of the Generals with myself and Bob Penfield. And, he helps create a family environment, and he steals all the kids' money when he plays cards, which I feel is probably not good, but he does anyway. Right. So then there's a girl that I think it's this girl, Trisha Herring, very attractive, not wearing anything in her profile picture. She says, "Hey, I'd like to get to know you. Will you follow me?" I think that's to me, probably. And Trisha, absolutely follow you, 100%. We can start an online romance today. So you guys can't do that. I'm married, but my wife isn't watching. So that's good. So Clark Kerner asked a question, and it's for both of you. But he says it's for Cooper, but it's really for both of you. What was your favorite road trip of of your General's tenure? So Louis, do you have like a road trip that sticks out that was fun, or they all just kind of blend together?
I like Jersey a lot because it was the quickest one too. But I would say Jersey. It's a good atmosphere there.
Good atmosphere. Crowd hated us. We didn't like the other team, even though I love Craig, the coach there, and the organization. Our teams just for some reason butt heads. Yeah. How about you, Coop?
I mean, the obvious one is probably Alaska, but other than that, I would probably say probably New Jersey as well, just because I think it was the first time I went to New Jersey, we won, or maybe second. We won the game like 7-3 or something like that on a Saturday night or Sunday, and we were driving back after that game, and then like just all the guys were happy. I don't even think we slept on the way back. We just stayed up like laughing and stuff, and it was a good time. Everybody was happy.
Yeah, some good memories on the road for sure. So, all right, here we go. Let me go through a couple more. Does Cooper like tanks?
Next question. That's definitely Clark.
All right. Does Cooper use rocks as chew toys?
Is that Clark too?
Yeah, Clark's an idiot. Well, okay, here's a good one. Yeah, this is a Clark question too, but I'll actually spin it to make it a good question. What was Cooper's favorite goal of the season that you scored? And then I'm going to ask Louis the same thing.
What was the actual question?
What's your favorite goal of the season that you scored?
Oh, probably. I mean, either my first one, which was in the first game, which was kind of nice to get it over with, or the one in New Jersey when I got tripped up and kept going down.
Yeah, that was actually pretty sick.
It was like a tie game.
And yeah, no, it was good. You got down on your knees, got up, put it top corner. And then Louis, do you have any memorable goals? Or, for me, my favorite memory of your goals of the 4-goal game in the playoffs, but I didn't know if you had a particular memorable goal when you played for the Generals.
I'd probably say in Maryland. I think it was last year. It was the second time I went there, and I just went behind the goalie and put it back. I think it was a pretty sick goal. So I'd say that one.
Yeah, that was actually just featured on that little video that was put together about NA3 to NA success story that they did on you. So we have a couple more questions coming in. I won't tell you who this one's from, Louis, but this person asked, why was your favorite line mate number 6 and why?
Why was it? Because he could score goals.
Why was you
just pass him?
He could score goals.
Yeah.
I don't think he ever passed the puck. I thought he just shot everywhere.
I got used to it at some point. When you play with that kind of player, you just pass it, and then it's not coming back. So just hope he's gonna score. That's what he would do a bunch, though. I wasn't complaining.
Yeah, Colin Bielik, he was the best. All right, question for Coops from Christian Brune. Which East Division team do you dislike playing the most?
He asked that question because I always would talk about it in the year. It's definitely Maine. Not even a second thought.
I agree 100%. I hate Maine.
Which your tweets normally fire me up even more. I said your tweets. Oh. Go ahead.
Yeah, so that's time. And then Brune's got another one. Did Jerry and Tyler have a secret relationship? I didn't know it was a secret, so
I didn't think it was a secret.
Yeah, okay, good.
Perfect. We're just buddies.
What? All right.
No,
all
just
right,
so we're just
just lovers. We know. What was your favorite goalie of yours this year? This is from Sam Stevens. I don't understand the question.
Favorite goalie?
What was your favorite goalie yours this year? I don't know. Maybe this person is British. They don't know English.
No, that's Stevens. I mean, just an easy, obviously.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So couple questions about your path, going forward. So we had both of you took pretty different paths. Louis came over younger and started in the NA3 with Metro Jets. Louis was tendered by us pretty early in that first year when we were struggling. You came up, you scored 2 goals in your first 2 games against New Jersey, and then you came, full time the following season. So obviously, you played in the NA3 for a really good organization. You played in the NA. You got your deal done pretty quick to Lake Superior State. You went to Lake Superior State last year, had a tremendous freshman year. Named to the all rookie team. Talk about your path and your the way that you went, basically from the NA3 to the NA to Division One and had success. What led to that?
Well, the only thing that a bunch of French guys went to the US and played in the NA right away. So it was supposed to be Corpus Christi. So I went to the main camp and I got cut from there. And it was at the Metro Jets rink. So the coach was there. So he said, if you don't make the team, just come play with us. So that was really the only option that I had. I just wanted to give it a shot. That was the only shot that I had to. And then I just went with the flow. Then DNA. And then hopefully make a D1 commitment, which happened. And here I am.
Here you are, doing well. And Cooper, yours is a little different, right? You came over, you went to Shattuck, St. Mary's. You played there for like 7 years, I think, like more than anybody else. And you played with a ton of guys. I watched a ton of your games. I scouted both of you a lot. I watched a ton of your games, and you had a lot of guys that were kind of really high-profile guys on your team, and you kind of flew under the radar a little bit. I loved your game immediately. I liked the way you played. I liked the way you skated. I liked how hard. I liked how quickly you got rid of the puck. Was it hard for you playing on a team that was that good and a program that good behind guys? Did you feel overshadowed at all? I know you didn't because you loved the boys, but was it hard from a scouting standpoint?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it was always tough. Starting with the first team that I was on, which I was lucky enough to make the U16 team, which we went on to win the national tournament. But that team, I was I don't think I got off the 4th line the whole year. I just tried to do what I could. And it was tough having, I think like 90% of that team's playing D1 right now. So you can kind of tell the difference there. It's not that hard to see, but throughout the whole time, I think it was actually a good thing just playing with all those players that are already going on to do crazy things. So it was definitely a challenge, but I think it pushed me in the right direction. So good and bad. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think so part of our we get asked, or I get asked a lot of recruiting questions, and for me. When I watch Tyler play, some people would get turned off. They look at his numbers as well, go, of course they're good numbers. He's playing with great players, right? And that's the knock that you could do. I looked at it and said, he's playing with good players, players in some cases that are a little bit more accomplished than you and contributing a lot to their success. So I looked at it as I brought you in and didn't think that necessarily you were 100% ready for a first line or a second line role, but looked at you as a person that could easily play on those roles because you're used to playing with players that were really good. So when I scouted you, I looked at that as a huge benefit as opposed to a negative, so I guess it depends on the person scouting you, that can look at your numbers and go, yeah, well, he should have had good numbers, right? I looked at it as yeah, but he had good numbers with really good players, so there is something to be said for that. And I think that made your adjustment, sliding in on the top 6 right away, pretty easy, and there's no secret that I have you penciled in to be our first line right winger next year. And it's based on the body of work. That's not I'm not talking out of school here. So having said that, did that help your adjustment to the North American Hockey League? You had a pretty good year. Obviously you had peaks and valleys, and we talked about that. You had, great start, slowed down, picked it back up. Was that something that, was easier to get over because of guys that you had played with and guys you were playing with?
Yeah. I also think it was a big confidence thing. Just being put into almost a different role. Just gave me a little bit more confidence when I had the puck and not just getting scared with it or scared of messing up, and then whatever, like it just kind of calmed my nerves a little bit. And I mean, obviously, before I started last season, right after I signed the tender, I was kind of watching, like I watched on Hockey TV, just like a bunch of like random null games, just to kind of like see what the differences were and stuff like that, and who's going to come back and stuff like that. And that helped a lot, just seeing like the pace and the physicality of the game at the next level. But yeah, I mean, that playing those 4 years at Shattuck, definitely with those players that I played with, definitely helped a lot.
Okay. Yeah. And on the other end of the spectrum is, obviously, Louis, we talked about the NA3. And, the Generals have had a lot of success. We had Luke Brunovich played in the NA3, played for us now at Providence. We had Kohei Sato played for, and Luke played with New Ulm. We had Kohei Sato, who played at North Iowa, played for us, now is at UNH, obviously, is having a great career. We had with Metro Jets, and then, Lake State. We've also had guys like this past year. We had Thad Marcola, third year guy, two years in the NA3, 1 year in the NA, but, did all the work. We've had Kyle Gierman, defenseman that, played for Metro Jets with you, Louis, came up to us and was a very good defenseman, for us for 2 years. There are ways, the NA3 does sometimes get knocked, just like any tier 3 league does, but I think it's a great developmental model. I mean, if you perform well, yeah, I mean, your points aren't going to necessarily, you're not going to have 90 points in the NA3 and then have 90 points in the NA, just like you're not going to have 60 points at Shattuck and have 60 points in the NA. It doesn't work that way. But I think that you had Coach Quenville, who did an unbelievable job of getting you ready. And I also think that, the league is a good league, and you get put on big showcases that can get seen by scouts. And was there, anything about that you were nervous about going in, Louis, about playing in the NA3? And then did it, once you met Coach Quenville, did it help?
Well, when I first showed up, so when I was playing in France, it was not physical at all. And the NA3 is a pretty physical league. I mean, when I played there, it was, at least in the division. And there was a lot of big guys and like strong guys. So I was a lot like weaker. So it was just a lot harder to adjust to that at first. And then, Quinlan did a great job with like all the details of the game that I didn't know. Just like getting the puck like quick enough and like moving the puck quick and like speed and agility. So he helped me a lot with all the details. So that's what helped me with to do good at the no level too.
Yeah, and I think Cooper got to see the NA3 kind of firsthand last year, and in some cases it's more physical because there's less stuff called. Like it's a little bit sometimes can be murder hockey. But we were lucky to have Collier, Bankowskis and Carson Asper and Stevie Gerbis down there. And, those are two kids in Asper and Bankowskis that will move from our NA3 team. And I think have a pretty big impact for us next year at the NA level. And I think that from a scouting standpoint, it helps us obviously to have those teams. We even saw, at the NAPHL level, we had Adam Smith join us for, the last portion of the season. And I wasn't sure if he was ready, to be honest, but, he came in and Tyler got to play with him and, pretty solid. He did a really good job. He played some games in the NA3, played some games in the NAPHL, played games for us. So, just talking about different scouting, I'm getting questions. They're kind of all random and I'm trying to cobble them all together to, make sense of, how we go about scouting. It doesn't really matter what league you play in. A lot of it matters which coach, which program, and then how you produce and how you play for 60 minutes. Pretty simple. One thing that we talked a lot about with guys is body language. Whether you're playing in the best game or the worst game, and it's 10-0 you're winning or 10-0 you're losing. Controlling your body language, making sure that you are always playing hockey the correct way. Guys notice that. And the same thing with college scouts. Having a bad game, as long as you're keep going out working hard, showing your footwork, showing your hands, showing your speed, showing your physicality, and your compete level, you're going to be able to have success. So back to a couple of questions. We got Brune asking again for both boys. First impressions of Nico Esposito.
Amazing guy. I thought he was old though. He looks old. I thought he was like a senior, so I asked him, and he said, "No, I'm a freshman." So I was a little surprised, but I love the guy. I'm gonna room with him next year. So
Nice. And how about you, Coop?
My first impression was probably when I first started at Shattuck. I didn't know who he was, or like I kind of figured he was a hockey player just because of his build. But like he just had this look on his face that he was just like he just looked angry all the time, and I didn't want to talk to him, whatever. And then I think I sat with him at lunch or something like that, and we were just friends from there. He's an interesting character, though.
oh yeah,
Interesting dude. All right. All right. So let me just check, make sure I got all the questions. Oh, okay. So what do you think? So Louis, obviously you've played a year of Division I hockey. Cooper, we're trying to get him, a deal done, and I'm very confident that Tyler Cooper is a Division I hockey player. So what about the North American Hockey League? What about the World Junior experience? What about those things that help prepare you for Division I college hockey?
well, I think it's just like different experiences, and you just play against different players, and you just see where they at. So the World Juniors, there was a bunch of guys playing pro for like the SM Liga, so the Finnish league or like the Swedish league, and you can tell what these guys do that you don't have. I mean, that's what I would look at most of the time, just like the top guys on the other teams, what they have that you don't, and try to like adjust to it so you can potentially like compete with these guys.
Yeah. So, part of what we hear about, the North American Hockey League is it's a heavy league. And it allows for the physical transition a little bit, to the Division I, maybe not the skill side or whatever. Did you feel that, Louis, like that that you were ready from a physical standpoint for the Division I playing in the North American Hockey League?
Yeah, you can tell on the team which guys played in the null and which guy played in like the USHL. Because most of the NHL guy, most of them are just like hard worker on the team. They just always try to like do the extra stuff, and they just play with like the body and like and the intensity. When the USHL guy, they just try to play with the talent a little bit.
Yeah, and I think one of the things, and part of the reason why I like having both of you on here, both of you have obviously international experience, but some of my favorite qualities of the two of you, and something that I talk to other players about, like what kind of separates you guys from your peers and your very different style of player, is both of you always have your feet moving, right? Always, through contact, through traffic, like always second effort, keep those feet moving, try to get through, try to push through, open the hips up. You both take contact incredibly well, both really smart with the puck and your stick. And the one thing I kind of always tell people at the lower levels is a lot of people feel like the play ends once the physical contact happens, meaning like they're just kind of like, oh, okay, now I'm in mode of getting the puck back. Whereas both of you are looking at it as, I'm going to keep the puck through traffic, or at least be able to push the puck forward and be able to help a teammate make a play. And that's one of the biggest adjustments I thought I see from players in the North American Hockey League, is being able to keep your feet moving at all times through traffic, through danger zones, being able to take puck. You both take pucks to the middle of the ice, which is obviously a high reward place, high risk, but high reward. Both play with your head up, so you're allowed to, so you can take it to that area feeling comfortable. But also you guys do a good job of working with what's given. If the outside's given to you, you take it to the outside. If the inside's given to you, take it to the inside. And that's a big part, I think, of having success at every level, is take what's given and, try to work hard at that, improving those areas, right? If you're weak taking the puck to the inside, work on it. If you're weak to keeping the puck to the outside, work on it. So ultimately, you both are very good players, both play a very different style, but both have had a lot of success by playing your own style without having to change it. And I think, in the NA, because it's so physical, I didn't think either one of you really had to change your game too much. Am I wrong in that, Louis, or did you just kind of get stronger physically and still able to play your game while getting stronger?
No, I mean, I think I just changed my game in the 0-3, but not in DNA. Then you just work on like your speed and like little details, but and obviously the strength, which I've been struggling with a little bit, but yeah, no, I think it's just all about like the speed and just the agility.
Okay. How about you, Coop? I mean, I didn't see much change to the style. I thought there was a change to, the guys around you, but not to the way that you necessarily played.
No, yeah, there wasn't much of a change. Like I said earlier, it was more just like getting confident in what I was doing more than changing what I was doing. So I just was working on. I mean, like during the year, I was working on like a lot of like mental stuff because I did have like a little problem where like I would kind of work for like when I was younger, I would work for like half the game, and then if we're up or whatever, just kind of let up. And I've been working pretty hard to get back to just like the mental side of it all. So I mean, other than that, I didn't really change much. It was just competing in practice, which made me adjust to the like games a little bit easier.
Yeah. Okay. So last question for both of you. What are you guys doing in quarantine to help be ready for when everything starts? Obviously you can't go on the ice. So what are you doing, Louis, to, get stronger, get faster, keep your hands active? What are you doing?
So I work out 4 days a week. I do 4 cardios too. I do more like speed stuff and like agility, not as much like long run. I like a shooting room too. So I try to shoot like between like 500 to 700 pucks a day. And then just stick handle. And once we're gonna be able to go out, I usually do a lot of rollerblading too because I don't have access to an actual rink, so I just do a lot of rollerblading.
Okay, that's good. How about you, Coop?
Yeah, for me, I just got a pair of rollerblades, so I've been using those quite a bit, and I'm lucky that my mom is a personal trainer, so we've kind of just been doing workouts on the driveway and stuff like that. And then I'm working doing landscaping in my neighborhood every morning from now. I'm doing it I'm just doing half days now because I'm starting to get back into workouts, but it was 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. every day. So that kind of kept me in somewhat shape for the month and a bit that I took off from kind of not doing anything. But now that I'm getting back into things, I'm working out with my mom and then shooting pucks pretty much 4 or 5 times a week. So.
Yeah, and there's the one thing that I tell people all the time, especially about Louis, is and Louis, obviously you had a lot of success in our league, and one of the best players to, if not the best player to ever wear a Generals uniform, but you were in that billet yard, in that driveway, your billet house, shooting pucks every day. Cooper, you were on the ice extra after practice ended every single day, or on the ice early every single day. Like the best, it's so silly. Like people get a feeling that the best players are just good. No, the best players work harder than the other players, and I think both of you are really good testaments to that. They see the final results watching on hockey TV or watching in person, but they don't see all the work that goes into it behind the scenes. And I think both of you have been incredibly hard workers and great role models for, other Generals, and that's why, Louis, you took on a leadership role for us. That's why Cooper will take on a leadership role for us next year in the locker room. And I think that, people don't understand how hard a work it takes, not just when you're at the rink, when you're away from the rink, eating correctly, sleeping correctly. There's a lot of different things that go into it. So I appreciate you guys sharing your quarantine stories. I appreciate you guys sharing 45 minutes with us today. And most importantly, I appreciate you guys for wearing the Generals uniform. We've Tyler, I'm looking forward to a great second year. Louis, loved having you for 2 years. Loved watching you play last year at Lake State. We look forward to, staying in touch down the road. So thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.